There's an ancient parable about a farmer who lost his horse. The neighbors came over and said, "Oh, that's terrible luck." And the farmer said, "Good or bad? It's hard to say." Days later, the horse returned and brought 7 wild horses with it. And the neighbors came to say, "Oh, that's really great." And the farmer shrugged and said, "Good or bad? It's hard to say." The next day, the farmer's son set out to break one of the horses. He was thrown off and he broke his leg. Once again, the neighbors appeared and said, "That's just terrible luck." And the farmer just said, "Good or bad? It's hard to say." Soon afterwards, officers came to the farmer's door looking for men to draft for the army. Seeing the farmer's son and his leg, they passed him by. Hearing about this, the neighbors responded, "What great luck." The farmer once again said, "Good or bad? It's hard to say." Through the years, I've realized the truth in that statement in my own life and in the lives of others, most recently in a TED Talk by Heather Lanier addressing the challenges and the blessings of a special needs child. A situation did not work out the way we wanted it to. Good or bad? It's hard to say. A situation did work out the way we wanted it to. Good or bad? Hard to say. The point of the story is not about being optimistic or even the significance of waiting to see the outcome of a situation. Rather, it is more about our tendency to judge events and categorize them as either good or bad. Realistically, life events are much more fluid. And by categorizing an event as either good or bad, we're telling ourselves an incomplete story. And perhaps by categorizing it in some strange way, we may feel we have some control over it. I realize now that by gripping to a story of good or bad in a particular situation, I close down my ability to truly see the big picture. The better path is to release my grip and proceed with an open mind and even some curiosity. Such is the place we find ourselves now. 2020 has been quite a year. Someone said 30 days has September, April, June, and November. All the rest have 31 except for 2020, which has a total of 5,328 days. Worldwide political upheaval and mistrust, racial tension, the pandemic, resulting in millions of confirmed cases and millions of deaths, and natural disaster. All of these have taken an enormous economic, physical, spiritual, and emotional toll on millions of people. I think it's safe to say that all of us have been affected in one way or another. It's extremely difficult to look at this situation and say good or bad, hard to say. However, I think by grasping that concept, that's the only way we can keep from dwelling on an incomplete story in our world, in our nation, and even in ourselves. Paul wrote to the Romans, "All things work together for good to them that love the Lord, to them that are called according to his purpose." Romans 8:28. The popular author Ann Voskamp puts it this way: everything's going to be okay because the Word himself walks into our story and walks with us until the story ends in his time, in his ways, for our ultimate good and his ultimate glory. The words ring true. At this point, the story is long and hard. However, we must travel life's journey while accepting its hardships and at the same time holding on to its hope. Paul wrote in writing to the Philippians about various difficulties he had experienced, stated, "I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me." Philippians 4:13. Ultimately, it will be a good story. We may not be okay now, but the story is not over. I'm confident that all of us can emerge stronger, better people because of, not in spite of, our current situation. Several weeks ago, Scott approached me about compiling some observations that, among other things, would address spiritual, mental, physical, and emotional health in this strange new world where we find ourselves. As with any topic that I want to know more about, during the past few weeks, I've done quite a bit of reading and studying and praying about this topic, and will try to mention particularly helpful resources in due course. Hopefully, these brief observations will provide some insight and direction, and more importantly, serve as a springboard for your own reflections.